very much, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I too want to talk about this budget, and I'm going to focus on education. But before I get down to the specifics, I feel like we're in parallel universes. We're obviously talking to different New Zealanders, because certainly the New Zealanders that I'm talking to, the good people of Maungakiekia that I talk to, recognise that this is a great tax swindle, that most of the tax cuts will in fact be wiped out by the 5.9% inflation. And we've already seen interest rates rise in response to inflationary pressures. And of course people can see the broken promises. They can see that the promise not to raise GST, well, that was rubbish. The promise not to borrow for tax cuts, rubbish again. Not to undermine 20 hours free early childhood education, rubbish again. And of course that the majority won't be worse off, again, rubbish. This is an unfair budget. Let's get that on the table. And I agree with what Materia Ture was saying about inequality in this country. And again, we see 15% of tax cuts go to the top 1%. Just in case you didn't hear that, 15% to the top 1%. And a third goes to the top 5%. And in the Maungakiekia electorate, 64% of people are not going to receive tax cuts when you factor in the increases in GST. Now, there's also cuts in this budget. You can characterise health spending as increasing, but the level of health spending will not keep up with costs, so we will see continued cuts to so-called frontline services. Certainly, the elderly that are having their home help cut would consider that to be frontline expenditure. Now, of course, there's state house maintenance, something that's quite important in the part of Auckland I live in. And again, we see cuts from 100 million to 10 million for state house maintenance. So what is the real agenda here? And I think a lot of New Zealanders now realise that the real agenda here is a softening up for privatisation. We're already seeing privatisation in the ACC work account. We've already seen the Prime Minister flip-flop around on Kiwibank and privatisation, and we only need to look at local government, don't we? Local government where we're seeing water potentially outsourced for 35 years, an entire generation. And Auckland City corporatised. This is all softening us up for privatisation. And New Zealanders are seeing that. But what I feel really strongly about is that this is also a missed opportunity to strengthen our economy. The economic plan, if there is one, is tax cuts. Tax cuts is the whole economic plan. And some of us don't believe that the trickle-down theory works. So you can say as many times as you like that this is about economic growth because you're cutting taxes. It does not work like that. Where's the investment? Where's the investment in lifelong learning, for example? We're seeing caps in tertiary education. We see no new initiatives in the skills area. Early childhood education cut by $250 million over 4 years, and higher costs for parents and lower quality for their children will result by those cuts in early childhood education. Our economy is unbalanced. It's unbalanced in many regards. It's certainly inequitable, but we have such a poor savings record. And what is happening in that space? What is happening in the superannuation space, for example? A strong economy is about people having quality jobs and decent incomes and the public services that we need. And this requires active government. And active government includes investing in our people. And some across the House clearly do not understand much at all about the education system. But education and early childhood education is one of the most significant investments that we can make in our future. The compulsory education sector is facing funding shortfalls as increases in operations funding will not keep up with inflation. And of course we see further increases into the Aspire scholarship program, privatising or prioritising private education. That's not a surprise, is it? Tertiary institutions are capping places. This is ridiculous when we have skills shortages in our economy. Second chance education, a further $11 million stripped from adult and community education. This is just crazy. But the one that really is appalling is the lack of investment in workplace learning and skills development. Where are the new initiatives here? We're supposedly listening to a government that's ambitious for New Zealand. Well, where's the ambition in terms of workplace learning and skills development? Our workplaces are low wage and generally low skill. Our Prime Minister, Honourable John Key, in his speech at the start of this year talked about labour laws imposing excessive costs on the country and holding back opportunities to create jobs. Everything is about cost when it comes to investing in our workplaces. Well, actually, it's about investment. There's a lot of rhetoric about productivity. One of the things that is really problematic in our economy is low productivity, and we need to focus on skills and we need to focus on productive employment relations. And I just want to record here that a report last month showed that New Zealand managers in manufacturing have considerable room for improvement, and investing in their people management skills would lead to major productivity improvements. The study was done by Sydney University of Technology, and it shows that the impact of increasing management capability from the lower to upper quartile would be the equivalent of increasing the workplace by 41%. Now that would be a lift in productivity. Now, interestingly enough, Mr Quinn, perhaps if you listened instead of shouting, interestingly enough, one of the priority areas for the New Zealand skills strategy was on building the capability of managers and workers to develop and utilise their skills. What has this government done with the skills strategy? Despite a willingness of unions, of business, of the tertiary education sector, of industry training organisations to cooperate, it took over a year to bring those parties together and to even call a meeting where they could talk about implementing a skills strategy. And there was an agreed skills strategy. That meeting was held in December last year to look at the supposed revitalised skills forum that was referred to by the Prime Minister in his speech to the CTU conference in October last year. There have been no further meetings of that group, so much for a revitalised skills forum. Now, why would we be worried about investing in skills? Well, seven drivers of productivity are all about skills and investing in skills, and that is what will lead to greater workplace productivity. 80% of the workforce of 10 years' time are already in the workforce. We have major skills deficits in our workforce. It would appear that the members opposite do not care about this, but if we are serious about lifting productivity, then we need to invest in our workforce. New Zealand has major skills deficits, as I'm saying. The legacy of a lack of investment in skills in the 1990s, and a government with vision would invest substantial resources in supporting people into training to upskill our workforce. And while it may be amusing to some people across the House, investing in skills has benefits at every level. Benefits for individuals. Yes, and we had an agreed skills strategy, and if you'd been listening, Mr Quinn, you would see that it has not been implemented by the new government.
Order. The member must not use the personal pronoun you when speaking in the debate.
How kind of you to draw that to my attention, Mr Speaker. As I was saying, Mr Speaker, the benefits accrue to every level. They accrue to individuals in providing job opportunities, improved income, greater job satisfaction. They accrue to families as they benefit in terms of family income, but also parents who are able to support their children's learning. The benefits accrue to businesses in terms of greater productivity, and the benefits accrue to our economy through greater productivity, higher GDP, more innovation, and an ability to transform our workplaces and our industries. We are laggards in this area, Mr Speaker. Thank you.